You asked for it, you've got it. You are watching the making of mCOLe. That is the Manjaro Cup of Linux edition right now on Spatry's Cup of Linux. The Manjaro Cup of Linux edition, or as I fondly call mCOLe, was made because of requests from viewers like you. You guys see me doing stuff on my desktop all the time, and you guys were like, wow, your desktop looks really cool, Spatry. I want to have a copy of that. And with enough requests coming out, there was a need to make my own spin so that, other people can download my distribution and, pretty much play with Linux the way I do. I certainly never hope to see this become the #1 distro on the market. Really. I mean, this is just a little tiny niche distro, and I hope it stays that way. Because I'll tell you what, making a distribution involves quite a commitment. And I figured I'd get this all out of the way before we even start today's exercise. You must be committed to, when you build a distribution. Because #1, you got to support it. When you make a release, you're going to need a forum with people who have some knowledge on how Linux works. And of course, to build the distribution, you need knowledge on how Linux works. Probably the best way to get that is by building your own distribution yourself on your own machine. And one way of doing that is visiting archlinux.org and following the beginner's guide, building Arch the Arch way, but not just doing it once, a few times. You really need to have a strong understanding of what makes Linux tick before you even consider building your own distribution. And then, of course, you need to have a vision. Okay, what is this distribution's function? What is my goal by building this distribution? Some of you may be small business owners, and you may have 80 machines you want to deploy a common distribution across. Or you may be in college, and you just want to hand a copy of your favorite OS to all of your friends. That's another reason why you would want to build one, and I know a lot of college kids out there do take their time to build Linux distributions. So, with that being said here, this tutorial is not necessarily going to be beginner-friendly, and I know I do try my best to explain things in a way that most beginners will be able to understand, but I am going on the presumption that most of you who are interested in building Manjaro already know how Arch Linux systems work. You should already know how to build your own packages, but I will cover some of the aspects of the Manjaro tools where you're going to need to make your own local repositories and then store them on a server online so that your build can pull those packages that you built into your ISO image, because local repositories are no longer supported. So I'll briefly touch on that. Manjaro Tools makes building your own version of Manjaro fairly easy. But then again, it's not idiot-proof either. All right? Because, especially on this little crappy notebook that I'm using here, it takes me 2 hours to build every time. And then when I go to boot the image, I may discover, I messed something up, and then have to spend 2 more hours rebuilding it over and over and over again. And believe me, it can be a headache. So be forewarned. So some of the methods I'm going to show you in today's exercise are unconventional, and I know that I've been told by some of the team that it's ideal to build in a virtual machine. I've had others tell me that it is not ideal to build in a virtual machine. But hey, I do what's easy for me, and I'm going to show you my method for doing this. And I realize there may be methods that could be easier, but I do what works well for me. So that's what I'm showing you guys. Okay, let's drop the green screen and get our hands dirty.
All right, now the green screen is put away, and we are on my desktop. And I gotta say, kids, I prefer filming videos this way rather than standing in front of a green screen. It's just a lot easier for me to do, a lot less time consuming. And besides, you guys voted on my forum, and the majority said I don't have to stand in front of my green screen for every video. So I prefer doing videos this way. All right. Now, as I do in all of my tutorials, the first thing I like to do is talk about the documentation. All right, and as stated, this is an advanced tutorial, so that means you're going to have to do a little bit of reading. If you want to build Manjaro, you're basically going to need to read this first document, Build Manjaro ISO with Build ISO. This is using the Manjaro tools, okay? And if you're going to include packages from the Arch user repository, you're going to have to know how to build them. This even has a tutorial using build package. Never used it myself. I prefer using make package. If you want to know how to do make package, see my AUR video that I released about a week and a half ago. All right, and that has information on building with make package. Because I am building this in VirtualBox, and this is my VirtualBox setup right here. If we have a quick look at VirtualBox, you'll see I have a 32 and a 64-bit environment. I use make package to build these packages in these unique environments. That way I can test them and make sure that they install properly and that sort of thing. So that's why I do it that way. It's probably easier using build package, and I might eventually get around to trying this, but make package suits my purpose for now. This tutorial also assumes that you know how to set up shared folders, okay? You're going to need to, for today's exercise, I am just basically copying all of my configurations from the virtual machine to my physical hard drive, okay? And I have my folders here, okay, where I basically save all the information that I'm going to be putting in my overlays, because I'm not building this in the virtual machine. I'm just configuring everything in the virtual machine, what my desktop's going to look like and everything, and then I'm bringing it over to my main desktop where I'm going to build this in Manjaro tools. Before, I was building everything in the virtual machine, and I figured, you know what, I'm going to do what Oberon suggested and just build this on my system, because it does do everything in a chroot, whereas before, Manjaro ISO operated a little bit different, and this is Manjaro tools that we're using. So it's built into its own chroot environment, and it's really cool the way they set all this up, and it's a lot easier than what Manjaro ISO was doing before. So if you guys have built Manjaro using Manjaro ISO, I think you're going to like this method a lot more. All right, so let's go ahead and give you a rundown of what it is that we're doing here. Okay, you can see here, this is the Manjaro Cup of Linux edition, and this one doesn't have Firefox. This one actually has Chromium built in. You'll notice the icon's a little bit different here. Chromium has been replaced because, well, Firefox is just way too slow. And so I decided to swap that out. And we've got some new themes. GTK, you know, the day after I released this distribution, GTK 320 came out, and it broke the themes. So now I've got 4 brand new themes with the Manjaro Cup of Linux edition. Great for those of you who love the dark themes, and so here it is. I basically configured my desktop how I want it, okay? And you'll see I have a shared folder set up here, but I am not moving anything with the file system, with the basic home file system here. Instead, I am going to run as root. Okay, and now with the root file system here, I can Control H to unhide, and all of my configurations, everything that I have set up here, everything from the mini dock here, okay? All of these icons, I actually set all of these individually, all right? And all of that is in here. All of my configurations and everything are in this directory, okay? And all of this stuff basically is going to be copied. So basically, let's go ahead and we're going to open this in a new tab, all right? And you'll see here that I have build and then overlays, and then I have a folder for Etsy and one for user. All right, user is items that I brought in, okay? User share, okay? These are my custom backgrounds that I've made. I made a background for Light DM, which is the greeter when you sign in, okay? In the mCOLe folder, all right, these are, well, your panel decorations, the wallpapers that I made, even the terminal wallpaper, and then my 3D model and graphics that go with the compiz configurations are in here. So I've got a special directory for that, okay? All right, and then I have themes, all right? I've got my borderless theme, and then I've got I made 4 beautiful dark themes for this. mCOLe Bleak, Midnight, Night, and Twilight. All right, so we've got some themes and stuff like that in here. And pretty much, so that's user share. All right, and then in Etsy, mCOLe, this is all of the configurations. I already copied all this stuff over, all right? So, from the home file system here, all right, we're in home Manjaro, all right? All of the configurations, all the important configurations, I should say, have already been copied from here into my overlays /Etsy/mCOLe folder. Very simple, very easy. All of my configurations. So you want to make sure. Oh, and something else that we need to do in .config, we go into the XFCE4 folder, XFWM4. I'm sorry, it's in the XFComp folder, XFCE per channel, and then we want the XFCE4 desktop XML. Okay, you want to make sure that the value for your wallpaper is set here. All right, you need to make sure that it's in user share backgrounds. I have the mCOLe folder and then mCOLe-leather.png. All right, so and that's this image here. All right, and I've got this in here 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 5 times. So that is in there, and you need to make sure that it's critical for that file. Otherwise, you're not going to be seeing your wallpaper the way you want it to. That's very important. But also inside here is in the configs, I have all my Chromium settings, okay? My compiz settings, all right? I even themed hex chat, and I have a configuration for Mumble in here so that people can easily find our Mumble server and come in and chat with us. So, I mean, I configured all of this stuff, and this tutorial automatically assumes that you know how to do this stuff. You know how to set your desktop themes and that sort of thing. All right, we've got a Bashis configuration in here. We have a Bash RC. That's this right here when we click the terminal. Okay, we have Bashis and the Bash RC telling it how to display screen fetch. That's these configs here. All right, so basically I copied all of this stuff into my shared folder, okay, and all of that goes into Etsy mCOLe. All right, so Once we have all of that backed up, okay, you should have a folder that has your backup for Etsy. And inside of Etsy is your Light DM theme and your skeleton, which is your configurations. And then your user share folder should have any backgrounds that you made. Any additional icons you have made. See that wine icon there? I made that. Okay, and then this is the weather icons here. And then this default index theme is for the mouse. And you can actually change that if you want to. You can specify a different mouse. I just wanted it to have this so that it would revert back to this one in the event something messes up. So I made that configuration. But you can change these out any way you want to. Okay. Now that we have all of this, we've got everything set up just exactly how we want it. We really don't need the virtual machine anymore because we've copied all of our files. So let's go ahead and minimize this. Alright, my virtual machine is closed and I've got some root folders open here. Alright, and the first thing we're going to do is we need to prepare the system for building the image. We've already got all of our configurations saved and all of our notes and all that stuff in our folder here. And we're going to be moving them over, but we need to make sure that we have the proper packages installed. So, let's open up a terminal. I've already got the items installed. We're just going through the motions. So, let's go ahead and switch user. All right, and then we need to update. Okay, nothing to do. We're good there. Okay, and then let's go ahead and add the packages that we need. Since we're just building XFCE, we're going to Pacman sync. We want Manjaro Tools base. Okay, we also want Manjaro Tools ISO. And then we want Manjaro, TAC ISO, TAC Profiles, TAC Official. Okay. And then we'll install those items. Now, something else. Normally it will ask you whether you want to have Manjaro ISO Linux, or if you want to have Sonar ISO Linux. You will want to pick Manjaro ISO Linux, okay? And then you'll have an ISO Linux folder right here, okay? And the file that you want to edit in here is graphics boot config, all right? You select this under product name on line 17 here. All right, we're going to change this to what I'm building, which is mCOLe version 1-16.5.2 because this is the second release in the series. All right, we're going to go File and we're going to save that. All right, we're done with this. Okay, now we're going to move up, and we're in the Manjaro Tools folder. You've got Pacman Default Conf and Pacman Multilib Conf. You need to copy both of these. We're going to go into the ISO Profiles folder, into Official and XFCE, and we're going to right-click and paste these items here. Let me explain what these two documents are before we do any editing with them. Now, actually, I've already got the configurations already made, and I'm just going to copy them in here. But let me explain what these are. Your Pacman default conf file is your Pacman file for your 32-bit build. And the multilib conf here is for your 64-bit build. We're going to come back to these shortly. First, I want to talk about the packages XFCE file. This file here is where we configure all the packages that are going to be installed on the system. The only package I've removed is Firefox because I swapped that out for Chromium. So I removed that from this list here. And basically how I like to keep everything neat and organized when I work. So for mCOLe here, and I've got mCOLe and Manjaro repository commented out, this lets me know what packages I'm installing from the Manjaro repository, which makes my distribution unique. And then I have a list of packages that I have compiled from the Arch user repository using makepackage, and I'm going to bring these in, okay? And so basically I've already saved my packages XFCE file this way, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to copy this over. And we're going to overwrite it. Okay. And that one's done. I'm pleased with it. Next, we're going to look at profile.conf. This one's also important that we look at this one here. You might want to read through everything in here because everything is commented out, with the exception that there is not a kernel line that's commented out. This is something you need to add. All right? And there is a known issue with VirtualBox having difficulty booting some Linux distributions that are running kernel 4.2 or higher. Okay? And what's basically happening is it causes a kernel panic when these distros try to boot. So, to keep this compatible until VirtualBox releases a fix, I'm shipping with the LTS kernel Linux 4.1. So I've actually defined that right here. Also, we're using the display manager LightDM. And the display manager is the screen that you log in. So we've got those configured here, but there are other options. You might want to read through these and pick any other options that you may want. You may want to change the live CD username and password if you want to on here. You'll notice that I changed the host name on the live CD to mCOLe. Makes sense to do that. But you have those options, okay? Once you're done and you are happy with that configuration file, you save that file. I'm just going to copy and paste. Now, we're going to work on the Pacman default conf, which is 32-bit, and Pacman multilib conf, which is 64-bit. Okay? Pay very, very close attention to what I'm doing here, because if you're including packages from the AUR and you muck this up, your ISO isn't going to build, and then you're going to be whining and crying on the forums because you didn't pay attention. Read the documentation. I can't stress this enough. I can't stress it enough, and I'm going to show you the sample that I have here on what worked for me, okay? First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the location here. Let me open up my terminal, change directory to where I'm going to be. Now, note the name of the directory. That is my repo 32 in lowercase letters. So, I'm going to add tac repo, my repo 32 dot db for database dot tar .gz. Okay, and then I want star.exe. The star.exe is telling it to put all of these files in this folder here in the database. My bad. Let me reverse that. All right, there we go. And now you'll see we have 4 brand new files. Now we have a database. And now we're going to change directory to the other one. All right, and then I'm going to change this line here to 64. Very simple, very easy. Now we have this database. Once you have uploaded your folders, your repos to your website, okay, then we're going to need to edit the configuration files, okay? And in the pacman.conf here, quick digression, I have compiz installed in my setup, and I don't want Emerald 0.9 to be offered to people who are using my distribution, because those who have installed Emerald may not want Emerald 09 to spam them with message, do you want to upgrade it? So we got the ignored package here. Let's scroll down and take a look down here. Now, this is the quick, dirty, easy way to get your AUR packages into your ISO image that you're going to be shipping. You're going to create a section that is the same name as the folder on your directory, and of course, the database name better match. So you've got 4 matches here. You've got a match here. And of course, the folder name. Make sure they all match. If they don't, your ISO won't build. Make sure that those names match. Sig level never. Server http myserver.com. The repository folder. And make sure that it's in my repo 32. So you're going to upload that folder. And then, of course, the contents of that, when somebody pulls a directory, is all of these files. Okay? We're going to look at the multi-lib one. Okay? Emerald 9 and ignore package. Oh, another digression there. Okay? And look, we got a my repo 64 sig level never. http myserver.com/repository my repo 64. Once you have that set up, everything's good. You are good to go. You are golden. We're almost ready to build this thing. But not quite. Because remember, we backed up our overlays in the beginning of this video. Okay? Our user, share, our backgrounds, icons, and themes, all of that good stuff. Well, we need to copy this stuff. So I'm going to highlight both of these folders. I'm going to right-click. I'm going to copy. All right? I'm going to go into XFCE overlay, and I'm going to right-click and paste. We've got a replacement like DM-GTK greeter. I made my own configuration for that. So it's going to overwrite what's in there. We're going to replace it. All right? Now, this is critical. All right? In the user share, see these folders here? These all need to be able to be accessible to users, or else when your build is compiled, your graphics aren't going to show. So you right click on that folder, go into properties on this, set the permissions to users. Okay? You want the permissions to be users. We'll close that. Now we'll go in and double check to make sure that applied. I'm just going to right click on this folder just out of random. Go into properties on this. Look at the permissions. Ah, good. Users and read only. That's what we want. Because otherwise, these themes aren't going to display and people are going to go, hey, I can't use your stuff, man. All right. mCOLe. All right. These files are going to be in the, as I indicated, they're going to be in the home directory on the installed system. You want to make sure that those are properties, permissions, and we want to make that users, and we want these to be read and write. Okay? And we'll just go in there at random, documents. There's a beginner PDF. Let's go into properties here. Permissions. Okay, great. Users, read and write. That's what we want. So it did apply recursively. We are golden there. Okay, and that was the XFCE overlay. That is your installed system. Right-click, copy on these two folders again. Now we're going into live overlay. We're going to paste these as well because we want our live system to be identical to the installed system. We want it to look exactly the same for the most part. So, again, right-click on the user folder, properties, permissions. We want to make this for users, read only. We're going to close it. And to be thorough, just navigate a few folders down. Right-click on something in there, properties, permissions, users, read only. We're golden. These files are going to work. You must double check your work. Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself building this all over again. Okay? All right, Etsy, skeleton. All right, if we look at the permissions on this, that's root and read only. We can't have that. So we'll right click on Skell. We're going to go into properties, permissions, users. Okay? Now, and we can read and write, let them read and write that too. Even though it's a live system, they might want to copy a config or something. Okay. Let them read and write without having to root. That's fine. And all of these other files are fine just the way they are. Okay. Now that we've got all of that set up, we are ready to start building. So, let's go ahead and going to copy, or just do it from here. Switch user. And we're going to change directory to /user /share /Manjaro TAC tools. All right, and then we are now ready to start building. Okay, and there are two commands that you're going to issue to start the build. Now, I've already built this, and I know that this works. So, let me give you those commands. If you're going to build 64-bit, that is build ISO, TAC P for profile, XFCE, TAC B for branch, and then stable. And that will build 64-bit stable branch. If you want 32-bit, you're going to put a TAC A switch after XFCE. And then I686. And that's the command that you want. In the event that you run into any errors, scroll up a few lines and read what the error says. 90% of the time, you'll be able to figure it out, fix the problem, restart the build, and it should build just fine. I can't stress enough, though, proofread your work. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself building over and over and over and over and over again. And I'd like to thank Oberon for mentioning building this on my main system rather than building it in a virtual machine. I assigned quad-core my virtual machine, and then I decided, well, you know what, I'm just going to try it this way, and I found out I was able to cut the time in half. Four cores outside of a virtual machine is still way faster than 4 cores inside a virtual machine. And I was able to go in and clean things up and that sort of thing. So now the fruits of my labor are already up on SourceForge. So there will be a link in the description if you want to have a look at what was built. I just wanted to go through the motions to show you exactly what it is that I did to build this. And a link in the description will also give you the sequence of commands to clean up your work after you're done. Okay? Now, your completed ISOs, when they are done, are going to be in your file system under Var, Cache, Manjaro Tools, and there'll be a folder. Just keep going down deeper, deeper, deeper until you find your ISO and the matching MD5 sum with it. Alright, well that is all I have on this. I hope you guys learned a lot from my little tutorial here. I tried my best to cover everything in the best detail that I possibly could. But just in case I did miss something, please be sure to double check the documentation. I'm pretty sure I got all of the important highlights in this. So, yeah, I think that we're golden there. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing next, other than tomorrow is a news and nonsense report, and I don't know what's going to be following that. But I'm sure I'll have something pretty cool headed your way. Until then, peace out!